The three dimensions where your architecture is fracturing. Last couple days, we went into some very specific concepts that if you took those concepts and you started to actually use them, you really got some insights. You learned about the 4-second window and you know which pattern has been running your responses. So today, I want to show you something that most people never see. The three specific dimensions where that pattern is either building your life or it's quietly dismantling your life. This is a true story. And so we want to go into understanding what that means. And the first thing is I call them the three tectonic shifts. They could be a triangle too, right? But really comes down to mindset or mind force, right? Vitality and prosperity. You've heard this before, I'm sure. If you've been following any of my training, my concepts over the years, you've ultimately learned about the tectonic shifts. Now, why they're tectonic shifts is because they're constantly evolving, revolving, morphing in and out. And so you have to understand this the way it sets mind, vitality, prosperity, and understand how it works, right? So mindset is really the concept of your mental stability, emotional. Let me give you a real scenario. And I mentioned this in some of the other training because, and let's just stay with these concepts just so we can build upon it, is a deal falling through, a public criticism. It could be losing a job, right? How a reactor processes these things versus how a controller processes it, right? You see, one sentence on the neurological reason it works differently. Your mind is so powerful, and yet at the same time, we don't strengthen it enough so that it can be used. So this tectonic shift in this mindset, this emotional self-confidence, confidence, self-esteem. When I work with somebody as a coach, as a mentor, for over 20, 25 years, the fact of the matter is the biggest challenges I run into with probably 90% of the people is is self-confidence and self-esteem. That's all part of this mindset equation. And so when a deal falls through, like I said, that 4 seconds, all of a sudden you go into a panic mode, right? You lose your job, panic mode. The mindset all of a sudden goes down. What did I do wrong? How, what, maybe I'm not good enough. That's mindset. Vitality is the physical dimension that most high performers ignore until it forces them to pay attention. Perfect example is someone that continually abuses their body, going, eating wrong, no exercise, maybe drinking too much alcohol, maybe doing other things that are not good for the body. And finally, they have to face up to the vitality. You see, your body is your performance vehicle. If you don't look at your body as a performance vehicle, you're not going to get the results you want. You see, a pusher overrides it with doing other things. The reactor abandons it. I want you to think about this from the standpoint of the mindset and the vitality. Let's say you lose your job. A controller is going to look at that and say, this is a perfect opportunity for me to get in better shape. I don't have that job, that 40 hours. A reactor is going to say, I can't work out. I've got to find a job. I'm in a dilemma, right? You see, the controller reads it like intelligence and optimizes from what it communicates. And so we're always looking at our body. Now, does that mean that my body is perfect or anything like? No. But see, as we're always on a constant, like I said, these things are shifting, these dimensions, these tectonic shifts. Your vitality is your energy. It's your there's no better word than vitality, right? How do you feel right now? And as I mentioned in some of the other ones, mark down on a scale 1 to 10, 1 to 5, doesn't even matter. A, B, C, D, you could do that. But vitality, and again, I'm working with high performance people. I'm working with people that might be in fantastic shape and they say to me, I just don't sleep good. I feel tired. But see, that's a mental construct and both a physical construct. I'll teach you how to manage both. I've been teaching energy for over 25 years, starting with the Chi Power Blueprint. If you don't have that, you should get it. And then we go into the prosperity framework. And this is the financial one. Financial pressure is when people's reactor pattern fires the loudest. Again, losing a job, losing a deal. And here's what that costs. The exact moments when clarity could generate the most opportunity, the brain shuts down. It really shuts down the capacity for the strategic thinking. That's not bad luck. That's installed architecture. You'll notice that I speak a lot about installed architecture. Installed architecture. We're constantly installing an architecture into our mindset, vitality, prosperity. And that's why I created the C3 program, the execution engine. And it has worked amazingly well with these protocols for people that I work with. This isn't a sales pitch for C3, but I just want to explain how and why I created it. I created it so that over a 12-week period of time, we do that installation. Now, here's the thing, you're going to probably get results the first 2 days that you go through C3. C3 is command control core. And many of the people that have gone through it still use it to this day and rave about it because it's installation. And so when you're working with these three tectonic shifts, you have to look at them in totality and be honest with yourself and say, where am I at? And again, you can use any scale you want. You can use it as a feeling. What I wanted to do with the emails that you've received as well as this training is not to pontificate, not to spend a lot of time, but to give you the concepts that are most needed. So the first day is the 4-second rule. The second day, we went into more about the archetypes: controller, reactor, pusher. Where are you? And now we're going into the 3 dimensions, the 3 tectonic shifts of mindset, vitality, and prosperity. And again, some people will say, I've heard this before. Of course you have, but have you implemented? Have you executed? Execution. I was talking with somebody the other day, and I said to them, it's all about the execution. It doesn't matter how much you know. It doesn't matter how good you are about certain things. It comes down to execution. And we can relate that to really any aspect of our lives, any aspect of your lives. Are you executing? That's a great question to ask yourself. Am I executing? And you know what you're executing on. If you're an artist and you're not painting, you're not creating, then you're not executing. If you're in business and you're not executing on the aspects of the business that you know you should be doing, then you should be. You got to put in the flight time. If you're in a situation where you say you're going to work out, you say you're going to watch your diet, but you're not executing, same thing. If the mindset, if you're allowing this 4 seconds to actually influence you, you're not executing. And so the biggest thing I could tell you is that you've got to execute. I call it flight time as well. And if you think about it, almost everything in life comes down to execution, flight time, and reps, repetitions. If you're going to train your mindset to be strong, it's going to take flight time. It's going to take reps. It's going to take continuous effort. Now, when you work with me as your coach, as your mentor, I keep you focused. I keep you on track of where you want to go based on your goals, your desires, the things that you want to accomplish based on where you're at, mindset, vitality, prosperity. And we're going to identify where you're strongest and where you need more assistance. I don't say weak because it's really assessing and saying, okay, where am I at? And as soon as I started adding these 3 tectonic shifts into everyone I worked with, as well as what I'm now teaching, this has opened up a new world of opportunity to everybody because now they realize that these 3 tectonic shifts, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter what your profession is, no matter what kind of shape you're in, they all interrelate. Let me give you another example. A client of mine, highly successful, earning over $500,000 a year. She's an executive. She's a powerful woman. She works out 2 hours or more a day. She looks unbelievable. She's 45. She looks unbelievable. She earns a nice amount of income. I would say so. $500,000 a year is nice income. She has the things. She's got the nice clothes and the watch and the car and all of the little trinkets. But you know what she doesn't have? She doesn't have self-esteem. Even though she's got all this pedigree from the standpoint of her career, her income, her physical body. Sometimes people overcompensate with the physical body because self-esteem is lacking. I want you to read a book called Psycho-Cybernetics. It's a book that was written 50s and 60s, something like that. But Psycho-Cybernetics is the concept that was written by a plastic surgeon, Maxwell Maltz. And Maxwell Maltz, and this is directly related to this client of mine that I was just talking to you about. Income in line, physical looking great, self-esteem is almost abandoned. She can't have a relationship. She doesn't feel good about herself. Now, if you met her, you'd never know that because she's gonna show what she wants to show you, and she's very skilled at it. But when you really get down deep into where her mindset is, it's a self-esteem issue. But what Maxwell Maltz found in Psycho-Cybernetics was he found that most people that he would work on, and he was again a plastic surgeon, like I said, back in the 50s, 60s, and he would fix whatever it was that they came to him for. I have a big nose, and I don't really feel confident about myself because I have the big nose. He would fix the nose. He would make their nose perfect. He would, make them look better. And what he found is that even after he fixed the nose, the self-esteem was still the same. You see, the self-esteem, the confidence, the mindset, the mind force had to be worked from the internal side of things, not from the external. This happens so many times when you see somebody that maybe they grew up and they're a little chubby, out of shape, maybe they're a nerd, whatever the case might be. As they get older and they really grow into themselves, they become a totally different person, but they still have that mindset of when they were a kid. That's why this past trauma has to be released in order for you to get to where you want to go. And that's really what the 3 tectonic shifts are, is allowing you to see where those deficiencies are. And mindset is number 1 because that's the number one thing that's going to affect you in the most negative way, because the mindset, quite frankly, is going to drive the vitality and the prosperity. Because when your mindset's right and you've got the self-esteem, you've got the self-confidence, you've got the confidence, you remove the trauma from childhood, you remove the addictive personality maybe inside of your mind for certain things, then you'll notice that vitality and prosperity, they line up very easily. But it's when the mindset is weak that people will not be able to respond in vitality or prosperity, but they all work together. These are the three dimensions. I want you to really think about this. A couple things. Number one, the three tectonic shifts. Where is your weakness? Where's your strength? Where can you be better at it? Mindset, vitality, prosperity. Where are you at in each of those? And then you rank them in numbers of which one is most important. So, for example, if mindset is your number one, you put that as number one. If number two is prosperity, you rank them in terms of which one is most important. And then you start working systematically on each one. Now, it could be the other way around. It could be prosperity is your number one, vitality is your number two, and mindset's number three. You have a good mindset, you need more vitality and prosperity, or vice versa. We could do it the other way, right? It could be like this. So again, I want you to identify that. That's number one. Number two is I want you to execute. And I want you to think about execution. I want you to just sit for 5 minutes and ask yourself that question. Where am I executing? Where am I not executing? And how can I get better at putting in the flight time, putting in more reps in whatever that is? So that's number two, putting in execution, flight time, and reps. And then number three, I want you to understand this concept of installed architecture. You're creating an architecture inside of your mind, your body, your spirit, your prosperity. You're installing it. I want you to spend 5 minutes just thinking about that. What does that mean in my life? And then number four, I want you to look up this book, Psycho-Cybernetics. You can find it probably on Amazon. It cost you $10 probably. Fantastic book. Here's a little tip for you, is that you can watch videos like this all day long and they're great. You can do a lot of things, but when you reading infiltrates your mind in a way that you can't get from watching, from even listening, because the mind puts you as you're reading, and just like when you're reading a novel and you have a character that you really relate to. The reason why people enjoy reading those is because they become part of it. They relate to it. Well, the same thing's true when you're reading something that's powerful. You put yourself in that situation, and it allows your mind to free up, where you can start assessing, okay, that does sound like where I'm at. Let me adjust it. Let me change it. Anyone that I coach, anyone that I mentor, I have them reading 15 to 30 minutes every single day without stop. This is a key. You can start doing it right now and see how many days you can go. Set a goal for yourself. How many days can I go reading 15 to 20, 30 minutes a day from something powerful, like a Psycho-Cybernetics, Think and Grow Rich, other books that are out there. Anyway, I've enjoyed sharing. I'm Al Perhacs, author, creator, visionary behind the Mind Force method of high performance coaching and mentoring. And I enjoyed sharing this information with you. Any questions you might have, certainly send me an email, a note, and I'll see you on the next video.